everybody. Ella J here on behalf of Bell to Bells. And today I am joined by the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich. So how are you doing today, Masha?
I'm doing rather well, thank you.
Of course, you, my girl, are doing so many freaking amazing things, but also have a very busy schedule. So I really appreciate it, especially heading into next week's amazing event, which we will talk about in a bit. But firstly, how are you generally feeling these last 6 months after returning back to the United States prior to being in Japan for almost a year?
It's been a bit of a wild ride coming back here. I didn't quite know what to expect, what kind of reception I would get, and apparently it was a rather warm one. So it's been a really good couple of 7 months, I believe, or something. It's been here,
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah, it's been going rather well, and I think it's going to keep getting better.
I think so. I mean, you have literally been popping up every single place there is imaginable, and I think truly considered one of the hottest commodities in pro wrestling right now. But especially being on the road so much, do you ever find yourself being homesick being on the road so much because your schedule has been insane?
Not at all. I
Really?
really enjoy being on the road. I love seeing new places, going new places. I'd much rather do anything than sit in my house. So I don't get homesick really.
Fair enough. So it seems to be working for you in your journey then throughout the last 6 or 7 months from coming from Japan back to the United States. What has been your favorite place that you have visited or wrestled in so far? Because there's been a lot.
Well, I suppose I would have to go with, if we're talking promotions, then that would be Beyond and Mission Pro. One in the north, one in the south have been some of my favorite places to be in. Yeah, I've traveled so many places around Texas. Actually, I think visiting Corpus Christi was on my highlights.
For sure. What about Corpus Christi? Again, I've never even been to Texas or stepped foot in there. So what about Corpus Christi really stands out to you?
They have like this long state park beach thing, and it's really nice. There's a lot of wildlife, and the ocean's very nice there too.
Fair enough. Now, the last time I talked to you, one of your goals was coming back to the States was finally making your way over to AEW Dynamite, which you've kind of made a step towards that with your recent debut on AEW Dark against Penelope Ford, which you nearly had a 2 day notice about.
Yeah.
So, where does your mind go then as you rush to prepare for a major opportunity like this with maybe a day or two tops?
Well, it wouldn't be out of the ordinary because that's pretty much how every big opportunity comes.
Okay.
I feel like it's a curse at this point. It's always little to no notice. 2 days was actually a gracious amount of notice if we look back at the several hours of notice I had at my second impact date.
Oh my gosh.
So, when I looked at my email and I read what it said, I didn't go into panic mode. I got into, well, I've got X amount of time to make it happen and it's going to happen. So how am I going to do that? And I think I got some preparations done out of the way pretty quickly.
Yeah, that happens, Masha. That I feel like is really, again, it's really a step into the door as you were talking about. We need the Russian Dynamite on Dynamite, though, but that was a great step, I think. And, obviously the AEW women's division landscape has changed a bit since the last time I spoke with you. Britt Baker is obviously now the AEW women's champion. Jamie Hayter and Thunder Rosa and more are now officially signed. So what are your thoughts as somebody active in the game right now? What are your thoughts on their current women's roster now that you've officially dipped your toes into the AEW waters, as they say?
I think their roster is growing exponentially. Very talented wrestlers in that locker room, many of whom I look forward to having matches with, and Jamie Hayter would be at the top of that list.
I want that Jamie Hayter versus Masha Slamovich. But, you also talk about working with Mission Pro, and obviously the owner, kind of leader of Mission Pro, Thunder Rosa, is now officially signed with AEW. So I'm just curious to know your experiences with her. Obviously, she's also at AEW, but also in Mission Pro as well. What are your experiences been like with Thunder Rosa? Because she's really been a staple in women's wrestling, I think, for a long time now.
Thunder Rosa has been nothing but amazing to me. She welcomed me to Mission Pro with open arms when I came in February. And ever since then, I've been working with them, and they've really made me feel a part of the team. I was lucky enough to wrestle Thunder Rosa at Texas Wrestling League, which was also a really fun match. And like I said, Thunder, she's been a bit of a mentor to me. So I'm very thankful for everything that she's done for me up until now.
What is one of the things that you've taken away from her, because you said she's been a really spotlight mentor to you? What is one thing that you've really taken away or just observed in her work that you've really taken away or learned?
Her and I have somewhat similar styles with
Okay.
the Japanese influence, so it's always fun to talk to and to wrestle with somebody who understands that kind of psychology and understands that type of wrestling, because you learn as you go, and just notice things that other people wouldn't with that kind of opponent or wrestler.
True, true. I feel like too, when you have similar styles, it's easier to like mesh well together in the ring. And maybe that's kind of why you guys had a great match together in Texas League, like you said. But yeah, no, Thunder Rosa has absolutely been, I think, dominating like the US and everywhere she goes, especially. But switching gears here, I'm really curious to know, you've briefly mentioned before in other interviews when I was doing my research that there are some hidden challenges in wrestling that most people probably wouldn't know about, like including myself, because I'm not actively a wrestler. So in a general scope, what are some of those hidden challenges you've experienced in any aspect of pro wrestling? I'm very curious.
So when I say that, I mean like things that people don't expect
Okay.
that are going to be part of your job when you become a wrestler. So, when I first started, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to, train, work out, go to shows, like pretty much like the physical aspect of like, I'm going to have to actually be a good wrestler. But I guess it just never crossed my mind how much work it would be later down the line to book your own shows, book your travel. I design all my own gear, so I have to come up with the designs. I have to go pick out the material myself to make sure that I like it, deliver it to my gear maker, explain to him what I want, pick out hair, makeup, like pack, merch, like design your merch, make your merch. All that kind of stuff eventually just piles up because people want to see new releases, people want to see new gear. And I'm like, listen, y'all, I barely have enough time to get in the gym. Leave me alone.
Yeah, especially growing up, coming up as a teenager in wrestling, I can't even imagine like the stress and all of that. Obviously, you've matured now as you've been in the game over 6 years now, but it's crazy like how much responsibility you probably have. Like you said, not only physically, but like the business side of wrestling too, and obviously like mentally and everything too. It's a lot to take on, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm hinting at, is like, I never really found it difficult for myself personally because I've always been in the mindset of, well, it's got to get done and it's going to get done either way. But I mean, it is really hectic and challenging because sometimes I just have to schedule my days like by the hour, like things have to get done in these time frames. Otherwise, it's all going to go to shit.
Yeah, I can understand that because I pretty much have to do the same thing like with everything with a shoot job and interviews and everything. But I can understand that. But you talk about designing your own gear. So we have NWA Empowerrr coming up. Before we get into that, do you have any special gear plans for NWA Empowerrr? Not giving away too much, or what can we expect you ring gear wise?
Definitely expect something new.
Okay.
There's several different options of new things that you might be able to see. And I don't think you'll even have to wait till NWA to see some new gear. So we're just going to have a whole lot of new stuff coming out very, very rapidly within these next couple of weeks. We're rolling up right into American Rana weekend, which is also a big weekend. And then, of course, followed by NWA the next week. A lot of new stuff, a lot of fun stuff.
Okay, Masha, I look forward to it. Now, can you give us, is it a traditional color scheme for you? So like red, black, white, or is it something new? Like new?
Well, I'll say it's gonna be interesting, and it's gonna be another opportunity for the fans to play. Guess what this is inspired by?
Oh, okay. I look forward to that. Those are always fun when there's like not like cosplay, but you can clearly see that there's drawn inspiration from something, whether it's like pop culture or music or comics or something. I'm very interested to see what you got up your sleeve, Masha. Okay, we'll see. But like I said, you are going to be officially a part of NWA's first ever all women's pay-per-view, where you were recently announced as an entrant in their first ever NWA Women's Invitational on August 28th. So when you got the confirmation that not only you were on the card, Masha, but you were in this invitational vying for a women's championship opportunity, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, of course, my initial thoughts were just, I was honored and very grateful for the opportunity to be a part of the first ever Women's Invitational, especially even this pay-per-view. It was all just, very exciting news. And then my second thought was, well, I wonder who else is in this cup. And immediately after that, I also wondered, it doesn't matter because you're already looking at the person who's going to challenge for the title.
Now I have to say, so I spoke with another competitor and I told her I was going to be speaking with you. Last week I spoke with Bianca Corelli, who is also in the invitational. And so I asked her this question and she gave you as the answer. So I asked her, who do you view as the biggest competition or threat to win it all? And she said you, Masha, because like I said earlier, you have really been dominating everywhere you go. So in your eyes, then, who do you see as maybe the biggest competition or threat to win it all? We have Chelsea Green, Genocide, Kiera Hogan, Thunder Kitty, Tootie Lynn, and so many other names.
Well, like you said, we have so many of these names, and not a single name that you listed I would deem non-threatening. I think this entire Invitational Cup is full of absolutely strong competitors who are all going to be fighting for the same thing that I'm fighting for. But Bianca, I'm very glad that she picked the correct answer because I like Bianca and it would be really unfortunate if she decided to get in my way at the Invitational. So I really hope she doesn't. And for anybody who does want to step in my way, I welcome all comers because I'm here to destroy.
She's laying down the gauntlet, as they say, and this match is going to be absolutely amazing. It's really unique too, in the fact that it's kind of like a modified elimination chamber gauntlet style match. Like it's a very unique way to main event Empowerrr. So how do you even mentally and physically prepare for such a demanding match stipulation like that, Masha?
Well, there is a difference between this match and perhaps single competition, There's women coming from all sides and all angles. So I've just got to be aware, keep my eyes open, keep my ears open, pay attention to my surroundings, and keep all of those women lined right up.
Lined right up. Hopefully, though, maybe you will have the advantage of going in last. There's always that. We don't know the order that everybody is going to be going in. They will be entering every 2 minutes. Obviously, two women will start and kind of like an elimination chamber match. A new competitor will come in every 2 minutes. And then it's kind of just like a free for all by pin or submission or maybe DQ. We'll see what happens. But like you said, you're going to have people coming at all angles. But I mean, this match is literally main eventing. So you said you were honored to be a part of Empowerrr, but now you are literally headlining. So do you even feel any more pressure to perform even greater and deliver even more than you normally would?
To say that I don't deliver and go to the absolute max in every match would just be incorrect. I had 2 days notice to go to AEW and I have never felt more confident in a ring than I had that night. I think that when I get to NWA to main event, the first Empowerrr along with the rest of the women, I'm going to be the most confident. I'm going to be on my game and that killer instinct is going to be switched on that night.
The Russian Dynamite isn't coming to play. She's here to dominate, right?
Indeed.
Now we're talking about unique match stipulations with this one being kind of a modified elimination chamber gauntlet style match. Is there any other match stipulation that in a general scope that you would like to tackle that you have not yet, Masha?
I've been saying this for years. Somebody needs to put me in a dog collar match. And, I think if I go on to win this invitational, I think that'll be a really interesting stipulation for whoever comes out champion. from Empowerrr, be it Camille or Leyla, because they are both tough women, but I don't know how tough you are when you got a chain wrapped around your neck and on the other side is me.
I mean, we are getting an NWA Women's Championship at 73, but you never know what they could have up their sleeve. Maybe I'm going to be honest here. You are my pick to win this Women's Invitational. I've said it before on other episodes of other stuff I do. So you are actually my pick prediction to win this whole thing, Masha. So I'm praying for you, but don't tell anybody else I said that.
Hey, it's okay. You've got a safe bet. You can put some money down on that.
I got you. But if you were a betting woman then, Masha, on the NWA Women's Championship, Camille will be defending her championship against fellow Russian Leyla Hirsch. So who do you predict as the winner of that matchup?
You know, I look at Camille and 100% I see a very strong champion and a very strong competitor. But I've been in the ring with Leyla Hirsch. And this Sunday, right before Empowerrr, myself and Leyla Hirsch are actually going to be teaming up in action. So I think I have confidently picked a good tag team partner. And just as so, I confidently picked the winner of that match to be Leyla Hirsch.
Ooh, so we got a little tag team dynamic going down the weekend before Empowerrr, and then possibly you guys will be foes at NWA 73. Okay.
Well, see, I forget to mention that when me and Leyla Hirsch did face each other, it ended in a no contest. So we don't know who the best Russian is, and I think NWA would be remiss if they didn't find out.
That's an interesting dynamic. Okay, so I am laying it down here. I want to see this Masha Slamovich versus Leyla Hirsch. I think a lot of people would be interested in that, and we need to know. We need to have a decisive winner, just like you said.
I agree.
Man, this is going to be super, super fun. But as the Russian Dynamite, you will also be on the same pay-per-view as some AEW Dynamite representatives like Leyla Hirsch, Kylan King, Red Velvet, and possibly even some more. So as someone active in the game right now, how do you view this crossover that the women from NWA, AEW, Ring of Honor, Impact, and possibly even more as they embark on through this forbidden door as they head into Empowerrr? I think it's something that we really rarely see in wrestling, but what are your thoughts as an active competitor in professional wrestling today?
I think that this is super, super cool, especially for the fans, because they just have no idea what to expect when they turn on any sort of wrestling every week at this point. And as a wrestler who's active in the game, I think this is incredible because it gives people, especially women, so many opportunities. I mean, we have Diana winning the Reina de Reinas championship and being the Impact champion. We have her coming over to Empowerrr. We have girls from AEW coming to Empowerrr. I mean, this is the time and place to be wrestling because you never know where you're going to end up.
No, and like you said, you have AEW Ring of Honor with obviously Allison Kay, Chelsea Green, and Marty Bell. And then you also have Impact with Deonna Purrazzo and possibly even more surprises coming up that NWA has yet to announce. We'll see, but I think it's really cool and really special that all these women are coming together. And again, it's not something that we've really seen happen ever before, where like 4 or 5 different companies come together for this first ever all women's pay-per-view in NWA. It's really wild, I think.
It really is. And like you said, I think this is one of the first of its kind of such a massive cross promotion. So I only think that positive will come out of this.
Definitely, for sure. But talking about like wild things in wrestling, I'm very curious to know. I ask everybody this now. What do you think has been the wildest or craziest thing that you have ever seen happen in a wrestling ring? Whether it was a crazy match stipulation, a move sequence, or anything else otherwise. I want to know from your perspective, what's the craziest thing you've witnessed?
Well,
oh gosh,
the answer to that question cannot be said on this podcast, I promise you.
Okay.
Because it is a story from a Japanese show that I witnessed live, but I mean, it got really out of hand really fast. I'll tell you when we turn this camera off, that actual story. But if we're picking something that I actually can share here, I was there in the Yokohama Gymnasium the night that Kota Ibushi did the moonsault off the balcony and got everybody banned from wrestling there. And man, I just saw that man run up the stairs, just turn backwards on the balcony and just flip off of it. And it was quite a sight to see. It didn't happen in a professional wrestling ring, but sort of.
Close enough. Pretty much. I mean, it's still wrestling wise, so I'll accept it. But no, that's like
And
awesome.
Coach is just a god in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's nuts. Watching
Yeah.
him wrestle live was pretty awesome.
Yeah, you see some crazy things in wrestling. We've seen, like, I know Hangman Page has jumped off of a balcony before. I feel like wrestling is just upping the ante each and every week. And it's crazy to see some of the things that people can pull out. It's really, really wild, I think.
I agree.
Now, talking about all women's pay-per-views, obviously you will be part of Empowerrr, but if you could theoretically book the card for your own all women's show, who would be your main event, whether it's a past or current talent in professional wrestling?
Well, you're saying if as if it's not already happening.
Okay.
We are having Borscht at the Beach coming up on September 19th, which will be a cross promotion between the all women's WWR Plus and Beyond Wrestling. So I guess you'll just have to wait and see for that answer.
Oh, okay, okay. At the time of recording this too, WWR Plus is having Say You'll Be There event coming up on the 22nd, which I think this collaboration between Beyond and WWR has really turned into something really, really special. And it's become more inclusive and I think really highlights a lot of great talent in wrestling today, much like yourself.
I definitely think so too. I think with the rebirth or, rebranding of WWR Plus, it's definitely brought out some spunk and some strength out of the Northeastern ish women's division, because every show that has been put on since we started in May or something like that has been a banger, and they've given other shows a run for their money. So I think this Sunday everybody has to tune into WWR Plus, and which will be followed by Beyond's American Rana, of course.
Of course, Masha. Again, you'll be everywhere pretty much. But, I know Empowerrr is also looking to showcase the future of women's wrestling as well with some future stars. So, who do you view then as some performers who more people need to take note of in women's wrestling today from your perspective?
Lately, I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you have been watching WWR Plus or Limitless Wrestling, you have seen Becca, the scrunchy queen, and I really think that she deserves to be on a higher stage very soon.
She's been dominating like the whole Northeast and the Scrunchy Squad, and like her matches with Erica Lee and Davian and everybody. I think she's really, really been coming up to and really embodying her character, I think, really naturally. And it's cool to see her develop right before our eyes, for sure.
I definitely agree. And, like I said, I hope to see her on a bigger stage soon, because every time I wrestle with her, I have a banger. And I think we create something special together.
Now, lastly, Masha, what are some of your plans for St. Louis besides wrestling, of course? Do you want to explore, or I also hear they have great beer if they're into that? So what are some of your plans besides wrestling in St. Louis for Empowerrr?
Definitely would like to do some exploring. I've never been in St. Louis before. So whenever I'm in town for a couple of days in a city, I try to make time to go and see like landmarks, or if it's somewhere like Minnesota, I'll go hiking or something of the sort. And I do like me some good beer, so I might check that out. But that'll be after Empowerrr
Oh, of
because
course. Of course. Yeah. I've never been to St. Louis either, so I'll be there next weekend as well. We have like the St. Louis Arch, and then I was speaking with Tootie Lynn, who's from St. Louis, and she said they have great beer. So that's the only reason I know that. But I think I got to explore too. I've never been there. So, but it'll be a fun weekend, I think.
I certainly think it'll be a fun weekend in and out of the ring as well.
Of course. Now, before I let you go, Masha, can you please tell the listeners where they can find you on all your social medias?
You guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages. It's at Masha Slamovich. It's the same on every social media. And of course, for all of the exclusive content and especially all of my outfits and such leading up to NWA, you'll have sneak peeks of my gear and my red carpet dresses. Join me and subscribe to my Patreon at Masha Slamovich.
Now, are you still keeping up with the tradition for some Russian life hacks?
I am. I haven't done any in a while. I've actually like remembered some last night, so I think those are going to be coming up soon. I've also just got like a ton of photo shoots I got to get out to my dear Patreon subscribers, and I have unreleased matches from Japan, one of which just got posted yesterday.
Nice. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Masha. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I sincerely can't wait to see you very, very soon.
Thank you for having me on, and I look forward to seeing you next week as well.
And don't forget to follow myself at It's Ella J on Twitter and Bell to Bells for more exclusive interviews and NWA Empowerrr on August 28th, next Saturday at the time of recording this at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Time from St. Louis at the Chase. So Masha, thank you so much again.
Thank you.